Hey everybody, Lauren Breeden, speech language pathologist here. I had an idea to cover something probably one of the questions that I get the most, have gotten the most throughout my career. And it doesn't even have to apply to early childhood intervention. I will make it apply to that, but probably the most common question that I get from people is, what do you do? I'm a speech language pathologist. Oh, so you work in schools? No. And then when I tell them I work in early childhood intervention, I work with kids who are birth to 3 years old. Well, what do you do with babies? Okay. So these are just some of the most common questions. So if you are just coming into the early childhood intervention world, or if you are a student, maybe an intern, thinking that you want to pursue a career in early childhood intervention, let me just tell you a few of the things that we do as a speech pathologist in the ECI world. So probably, it's hard for me to find the words to describe this. Okay, so yes, obviously, I work on speech and language. When I was in graduate school, I had the very false assumption that I would never do articulation therapy with a toddler. I was wrong. However, the articulation is a lot more simple because they're just not expected to do as much, right? However, in early childhood intervention, when you're expected to do the intervention, complete the speech therapy in their natural environment, you have to use what you've got, right? So I do articulation therapy with toddlers. I do language therapy, which is probably the easiest thing to do, just working on words, really. Lots of play-based therapy is incorporated into that because kids are experts at play. They need to play. Get that device away from their face. Get some blocks or something, okay? That's a whole other post. But I also work on feeding skills. And so when I would get the question about, well, what do you do with babies? Babies aren't supposed to talk. Okay, well, don't get me started on that because babies communicate. Okay, babies still communicate. Babies have differentiating cries as they get a little bit older to communicate if they are tired, hungry, angry, in pain, etc. If they need a diaper change. Okay, so those are all different things to listen for. In a baby, they don't have to have words to communicate. But I've done a lot of feeding therapy. So I do feeding therapy with these itty bitty micro preemies that are fresh from the NICU. Parents are lost. They don't know what to do. They're terrified because they're afraid that if they try to feed their baby, they're going to kill their baby. And don't get me wrong, feeding therapy is one of the things that speech pathologists are trained and qualified and licensed to work on. But it's serious business because feeding is one of the things that we could potentially do that could lead to pneumonia, could lead to sickness, etc. So if feeding therapy is something that you're interested in, definitely get as much as education as you can. I definitely had a lot of students, graduate students, and even some peers at work follow me on visits and watch me do feeding evaluations and things like that just to see what I do, because feeding is my jam. Like I loved feeding babies like that. I just love doing that kind of stuff. So we do feeding skills, not just for babies. Maybe your baby can't latch onto a bottle. ECI can help you with that. Maybe your baby is just flailing and going crazy whenever you try to feed him and it's stressing you out and the baby is stressed out and you don't know what to do. A feeding therapist can help you with that. Okay. So that's just another piece of what we do. Okay. I think as an early childhood specialist, as an early childhood speech language pathologist, probably one of the biggest things that we do is empower families. We give parents the tools, we give parents the knowledge, and we coach parents into having the confidence to help their child thrive. So that was probably one of my biggest joys, is not just being able to help these children learn new skills and grow and develop and completely transform in some cases over a couple of years. But really, it's helping the parents or the caregivers do the exact same thing. Because you have to keep in mind that, yes, we have all of this knowledge, we have language, articulation, we have pragmatics, we have autism, we have cerebral palsy, we have Down syndrome, we have cleft palate, we have feeding skills, and all of this stuff going together. But it honestly takes more knowledge and wisdom to know how to compartmentalize that and bring it down to a level that our parents or caregivers are going to understand, so that we can coach them and we can show them, hey, you can do this. It's going to be okay. I'm here to guide you. I'm here to coach you. But together, we can do this. Another awesome thing that I really love about early childhood intervention is that it was always, at least for our team, it was very multidisciplinary. And so we have OTs, we have PTs, we had a social worker, we had a nutritionist, really anybody that we needed to just kind of get a second opinion on some things. We also had our special skills trainers or child development specialists as well. And it was just such a great cooperative effort to bring the best services to that child and to that family. So that's why I stayed with ECI for so long. I just loved it. I love working with kids. There's something so magical about, and this is actually based off a true story, seeing that baby that has only been home from the hospital for a week with a severe congenital disorder that the parents did not know was going to happen. Parents are terrified. They're so scared. They don't know what to do. They don't know where to start. Mom is exhausted because she spent the past 3 months up at the hospital with her baby. And being able to step into that, for one thing, you feel the weight of it, which was one of the reasons why I left, because the emotional ties that you get to these families will be pretty strong, unless you're just inhuman. But being able to take that scary, that unknown, that tough situation, and little by little and week by week, show these parents, show the nurses that are with that child, show the caregivers, the grandparents, even older siblings, how to help that baby thrive. And doing that for a couple of years, until you get to the point where, for Texas anyways, our program runs until age 3. And the little one that I'm thinking of in particular will be 3 in October. And now that child is using complete sentences and drinking from a straw and feeding themselves and chewing foods. And there's no concern of aspiration or penetration anymore, or choking, or the fragility is still there, but it's so small. And being able to see that over a couple of years is just, there's nothing like it. And if you want a job that's rewarding, I mean, kids are where it's at. Yes. But I think there's just an added element with early childhood intervention, being able to coach parents and really help parents and honestly just teach other people. So if it sounds good to you, I totally think you should check it out. I think early childhood intervention is something that it's not taught nearly enough in graduate schools. And I think a lot of people just brush it off as, I don't want to work with babies. Oh my gosh, what am I going to do with babies? And that's what this video is all about. Because I want to bring a little more knowledge to the table on what early childhood intervention is and what we do as speech language pathologists to kind of help these kids grow and thrive. And it will carry them through, the rest of their lives. So I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions about being a speech language pathologist and early childhood intervention, feel free to leave me a comment below. I respond to just about all the comments that I receive. So this is my passion. Early childhood is my passion. So I would love to hear your thoughts and your questions. And if you have any other ideas on what to put in this series in particular, early childhood speech and language, feel free to let me know that as well. So I hope you'll have a great day.